Hi, everybody. Okay, so we're live now. Um, let's see who is here. Oh my God. So it's you and me, BJ. That's right.
Right.
Yeah, did you click on that button next to her name?
Yeah. It
Yeah.
looked like I was going to chat with her. I was trying to say hi and then she went away.
Yeah. Okay, guess what? You banned her, and I don't know how to undo that.
Can we send her the link again?
Yeah, but she's got to use a different email address or something to get in.
Oh, man.
I don't know. I'll send her the recording later. Euthina. But, okay, it's still early. Euthina. Oh, let's write to Euthina. Okay, I'll just text her.
Now I know what the band with that
Yeah,
button does.
yeah. There's ban and there's mute or something.
Well, it looked like email, and then it looked like a pencil. So I was trying to tap the pencil to chat with her. I don't know. And then she was gone. Oh, yeah. No, it's a little, gosh. Okay, I see what that is. So, hi, Rachel. Rachel joined us.
Rachel's here. Yay.
We're just working out the last few details, Rachel.
Hi,
Oh, you
Rachel.
muted yourself. Oh, no, you're back.
Yeah, don't get Rachel. BJ, I hear all these birds in your background. It's fine. It's not bad. It's cute.
You do? Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
Rachel, chat with us and tell us if you like the bird sounds that BJ's making back there. Let's see. I'm looking at the chat. I enabled the chat. Did I enable the chat? I did. Hi, Euthina. Hi, Rachel. Oh, Euthina. We kicked Euthina out. Okay. I asked her to log back in with a different email and name, so we might see her something funny like Max Mama or something. Okay. Hopefully that'll work. I might ban her computer, though. I don't know. You can look up how to unban.
Unban. Yeah.
And,
Okay, we've got 5 minutes.
Okay.
So, yeah, so I'll open up and give the intro. Oh, yeah. Rachel, no, we cannot hear you. I don't think we will be able to hear you during the recording. I think that Karen and I will be the only people able to speak, but we can answer your questions if you had them. Hi.
Yeah, I'm pretty sad about that, believe me. I was looking into if we can, but I don't think so with this particular feature. And there's a little bit of a delay too, so that might be crazy. But we got each other on par, BJ. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. So Rachel, if you have oh, Euthina says it's not working. Okay. So I don't know. Okay, so I was looking up how to unban somebody. How to unban a user. So BJ, you're going to do the intro. Does that mean like a little grounding exercise?
Absolutely. That'd be lovely.
If you could do something around releasing judgment and getting, the concept of presence that we talk about, that would be really great. Right, Rachel?
So Karen, leave your messages chat open on your desktop in case we want to...
messages chat open. Okay.
In case we need to say anything to each other.
There's some sort of private, but I don't know how to do that. Yeah. Okay.
No, I mean just the messages one.
Yeah, between you and I. Great.
Yeah.
This one. Yes, yes, yes. I'm with you.
Okay.
Do you hear the noise when I do it?
A little bit. Oh, no, I just heard it on mine. Did you hear mine?
Mm-hmm. You two are adorable. We're adorable.
Oh, you did hear the chat message, Rachel? Okay. Maybe she's saying she wrote the chat message.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe we won't do that then.
Okay, so I gotta figure out how to get BJ back on. I mean, Euthina back on here. How to unban a user. Chi support. Jeez. Oh, I can send them an email. I think I probably won't do that. Okay. Well, there we go.
Okay, so I quit the messages. Okay.
Okay, I will send Euthina the broadcast later. Okay, so I think, oh, it's not 6 o'clock yet. The thing is that what's interesting is that this is recording right now. So.
But it also says live.
Jay is in the room. Hi, Jay. Jaye. That's a great name. Let us. Jay, we're going to start soon. Rachel, we're going to start soon. We're going to wait for a few more people to come in. And BJ, I'm just going to mute my camera until that happens, okay?
Yeah, okay.
You know? That makes sense?
Mm-hmm.
We got to, well, actually, it's 1 minute away. We could just stay here together.
I'm going to close those windows. I'll be right back.
You do that. Yeah. Do I need to do anything? Jay wants to know, do I need to do anything? Oh, you live in North Asheville. Cool. Is it, oh, I'm so curious if it's Jai or Jay. That's great. Do you need to do anything with video?
No, you won't need to have a video of yourself. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. It's like we're talking to you, but we can't hear you what you say back.
Right.
So please text us back. Oh my gosh. This is our first time using this software.
It's 6 o'clock.
Yay.
We are.
Okay, here we are. Good. Well, I think, oh, there's Alyssa. Hi, Alyssa. I think people will come in, and we will say hi to them as they come in. Yeah, BJ, do you want to start your intro?
I'm ready.
Start that now, and then I'll mute myself.
Okay.
And you'll introduce us and the whole thing. Yeah. Okay. Bye.
Just Jay. Okay. Hi, everybody. Jay, Rachel, Karen, Alyssa. My name is BJ. Welcome. So again, this is our first webinar that Karen and I have ever done. We've been working with this content for a while, but this is our first time doing it in this format, which changes a lot of things. So I want to invite us all to get grounded where we are. Notice where you are. Allow your attention to be fully here. As we bring our attention here, we will notice attachments to other places, our attention in other places. That's great. So just notice where our attention is drawn away from here. And bring it to here. Allow your attention to be settled in this place, in this time, and any other distractions to begin to fall away. Breathing deeply into the belly. Relaxing the shoulder blades. Allowing your roots to sink into the earth. Allowing that connection to sustain you. Closing your eyes, if you haven't already. Remember a time, a very simple time in your life when you were a child. Before things had many names. And the sky was just what it was. It didn't have a name. You didn't know the color, the name of the color blue, and it was just what it was. Find yourself looking at the sky without a name. Allow yourself to just be present with that which it is. Notice what else is around you. Are you in a field? What is that without a name? Are you next to a tree? What is that like before we call it tree? Just allow yourself to be in that imagination moment. In full presence and with as little naming, as little judgment, labeling of that event as possible. Just be with it. Allow the space in your mind to be as open as the space of the sky. Breathing deeply into the belly, keeping the roots in the earth. Allow your attention to shift back to this room. But keeping that expansiveness, that open-mindedness. Before we gave a name to anything, the open-mindedness and spaciousness of a child's mind. So feel yourself where you are. Feel your toes, wiggle your toes. Take another deep breath into your belly. Begin to softly open your eyes. Keeping that expansiveness and that open mind. Fully open your eyes and join us for this webinar. We're grateful for you being here. Thank you. So Karen and I will be the two presenters this evening. And Karen's video's back up now, so you can see Karen. So that kind of spaciousness and that grounding is really helpful. And for us, for me and Karen, a lot of what we're talking about starts there. We find that before we can get to a skill set or strategies, we begin with a mindset. And that mindset has a lot to do with releasing our judgments, being present, being open to question our thoughts and question a culture that may or may not work for us. So, beginning from that place of an open mind, I'll turn it over to Karen.
Hi.
Hi, Karen.
Oh, good.
Yes.
Thank you, BJ, for that introduction. That was lovely.
Thank you.
I just want to make sure everyone in the webinar sees the chat. If there are questions that come up, Alyssa said hi.
Hi, Alyssa.
It seems like everyone knows where the chat is, or comments. Throw those out, and we'll try to keep looking at those as we go through. I think that's the one thing. We might do a poll during it, and if you can see where the poll button is to the right of chat, at the tabs on the top, that's where I'll ask you to press. So I think
there's an echo happening.
Oh, is there? You might want to mute your microphone, BJ, when I am yapping away. Does that make sense? Oh, she's muted. She did it. Is that better? Yeah? Okay. So, yeah, let me know if I need to speak up or anything needs to shift. Just text and I will see it. So we're going to start with an image, some images, because that's how we learn best as a human race, is through images. So here we go. I love this image of mama and child, or parent and child. Looks like a mama in some way. It still says less fluff, more skills. One of the come-froms for our approach to teaching parenting skills that BJ was talking about is this this quality of presence that allows us to embody the skills. We often share these skills. People want to get to the nitty-gritty of like, okay, well, I know that I want to move from connection. I want to let go of control or over passivity. How do I move, like, how do I literally interact with my child? And I get the urgency to explore that, but it's hard to understand how to do that when we're not fully present. So we're going to really get into and ground into this concept of presence and how do we create presence in our lives. And in order to do that, we need to understand a little bit about brain development. So this image here that you're seeing is so juicy to me. On the top here, you see, I'm just seeing if I have a way to point. I don't have a way to point. Okay. The higher emotional brain states are the prefrontal cortex, which is right over here. And I'm sorry, I'm slightly distracted by someone getting in the front door. In the brain, we have higher emotional brain states and lower emotional brain states. It's a really big oversimplification of how the brain works. But the higher emotional brain states are the prefrontal cortex. In this image, you can look and see the black spots under the deprived section, a child who hasn't received the amount of nourishment that they need for proper brain development. That's one label you can put on it, is deprived. That child doesn't have the brain activity in the higher centers of their brain. See those big black spots that are circled? And the red at the lower emotional brain state part, they have more activity there than they do in the higher. So literally through brain research, we see and understand that the way that we raise our children dramatically affects their brain development. And you know, we all have lots of reasons why we think that's important, but we're going to dive into some of those understandings. So the higher emotional brain state, everyone just touch your forehead. That's your prefrontal cortex. This is where your brilliance lies. When you have a lot of activity in this part of your brain, you are tapping into your unlimited self. This is developing in children. It's not fully developed until they're 25. This is why a 17-year-old is not eligible for being charged with murder, because they do not have the impulse control that the PFC offers. Once you're 25, and I'm not sure exactly what it is in the courts, it might be 21 at this point, but it needs to be more developed so you can be responsible for the actions that you take. This also is wrapped into your ability to consider consequences. A small child literally is learning impulse control and the ability to stop and think through their actions. The more that the brain connections are not made, and we're going to get into why they're not made, but if those essential brain connections are not made, and that the PFC is not properly developed, that child becomes an adult and becomes someone that you probably don't like very much. Someone that has a hard time getting along with other people, considering the impact of their actions, considering other people. People who are interested in world peace or harmony or just having a happy life, believe me, you want everyone around you to have a fully developed PFC, prefrontal cortex. I love this picture of this little girl down on the ground. How many times I've been looking at a child who's thrown themselves on the ground. When we are in the lower emotional brain state, touch the back of your neck where it touches into your scalp. That's when we enter into fight or flight. When we're there, we don't have access to very many resources. That's the brainstem, the lower limbic system. That's when you want to start telling your child what to do, but they cannot hear you. This is the same thing for your husband or your wife or your best friend or your boss. When you're looking at someone who's in brainstem, they're either in shock, there's a gloss over their eyes, you know that you can't reach them, they look like they're somewhere else. With small children, they might be on the floor, they might be punching and hitting, they might be screaming. Yeah, you can't speak to them. And this is super valuable information. The way that we get from the lower brain states to the higher brain states is through CLCs. And this is what you want for everyone, and as many as you can. I can cut my head open right now and look and see how many CLCs I have. And I can compare it to someone who has experienced a high amount of trauma, and we will see that they have way less CLCs than I have. I don't really know what my CLC count is. I've never cut my head open, but what we need to know is that we need lots of CLCs to move from the lower to the higher emotional brain states. This is where we want our children to spend their time. So the big question is, how do we get there? What's the formula?
Karen, can you pause for just a second?
Yes.
Okay, can you say just a bit about how we know someone is in the brainstem versus how someone's in here, just to give a give sort of a visual and understanding so people know the difference?
Yeah, sure, great. I appreciate you jumping in. So a visual of what they look like and how they're seeming, right? If you're talking to someone who is in their higher emotional brain state, that person is relaxed, is calm, and feels safe. Someone who's in their brainstem doesn't feel safe. Either they're fighting, trying to fight you, or trying to run away from you, right? The fight or flight response. And they look like they could have a glaze over their eyes if they're adults. If they're children, they're in major distress. They're throwing themselves on the ground, they're having a tantrum, they're hitting, they're cursing, you know, they're using whatever they can to protect themselves. They're in major defense mode. Did that answer your question? Awesome. Good. And I love how you slow me down sometimes. I'm like, I'm going to plow through this material. Okay, I'm just looking over here. So, yeah, so what makes CLCs? We know we need CLCs. We want the whole world to have as many of them as possible. How do we get there?
A reminder of CLCs stands for cortico-limbic connections. So cortico-limbic connections, connections between the lower state and the higher state of the brain. Cortico-limbic connections.
Yeah, that's right here in this slide. Does that shine up? Okay, great. So there's cortical limbic connections. We need them. They are literally the neural connections that connect the lower and higher states. And when we looked at that slide earlier of the brain development, the spot where it's black, there are not those connections being made to bring that child into those higher centers, or they're very few. There's always connections. There's not as many and as rich as it could be. So how do we get CLCs is the question. And this is, you know, the foundation of conscious discipline is an attempt to build a parenting platform around CLC development, which I really applaud and love. So what we've come up with is presence, which you see this mother is being super present with her child, looking at her, making eye contact, touching her, and that child clearly feels emotionally safe. All of these things are needed. Perhaps, yeah, all of these things are essential and needed. Eye contact, touch, presence, and emotional safety. And I think a lot of these things are self-explanatory. When it comes to presence, I think presence is a little more challenging to understand. Oh, Rachel said CLCs are TLCs for our brain. It's so true. Okay, I love this picture of these two parents talking on their cell phones. And Rachel, who's here, also mentioned something to me once about hands-free parenting, or maybe it was a blog. I love the concept of just how challenging it is for us to be present, and in more ways than we see in this image, but this is one of the ways with technology that we have her work with us all the time sometimes, or this connection to the technology. BJ, I wanted you to chime in about this part, this piece.
Okay. So believing our thoughts, limiting beliefs, and judgments inhibits presence. So back to the grounding exercise in the beginning. If we're sitting in a field with the vast open sky above us, when we're present with that experience, without all the names that we have for that experience, our mind is more open. And the same is true for any moment. So Karen and I are really close friends, and we spend a lot of time together. And any moment that I start believing my thought about her, my mind closes in that moment, because my mind's job is to prove that what it believes is true. So if I start believing that Karen is not being respectful to me, my mind is going to show me that experience over and over, and it's going to prove that that's true. So it inhibits my ability to be present with Karen and how she's showing up, because I'm only going to have that filter on of she's being disrespectful, she's treating me in such a way. So you can see these thoughts that are listed around the woman with her hands on her face. He's driving me crazy. I've told him 1,000 times to clean his room, put his toys away. She should have I have no support. So when we start believing these thoughts, our mind is going to, again, put that filter on our reality. Only allow things to pass through that filter that match up with that belief, with that thought. So it inhibits our ability to be present with any other experience of what's going on other than what it is that we're believing.
Awesome. Thank you, BJ.
You're welcome.
Someone asked me to put the slide back up. Is it back up? Good. Okay. Yeah, he's driving me crazy. I've told him 1,000 times too. I put this in here just as a little fun tease for you all to complete the sentence. I've told him or her 1,000 times to blank. I mean, what's the thing that comes to mind that aggravates you when you think that thought? Or she or he should have what? A shoulding is just such a fantastic way that we get out of the present moment. And also judge the humans around us, and it disconnects us. So the presence that we're trying to create, that creates the brain connections that our children need and the connections that we need, is essential. And so that's why part of our platform is that we start with studying the work of Byron Katie and learning the 4 questions and the turnaround, learning how to question our thoughts, and that's something that BJ brings a lot of skill and practice to the table. And I do belief system work, so questioning what are my limiting beliefs. I have no support is perhaps one of them. One of parents' classic stories is there's not enough time. I'm not safe in the world. My child isn't safe. So these are all beliefs that we can explore and turn over and look deeper into and find out what's more true for us. And as we do that and we let go of the negativity that we may have been carrying for a long time, we're able to get more present and grounded with our child and develop the neural connections that we need to be in the higher centers of our brain so we can be accessing more resources to be the kind of parents that we want to be with more impulse control, right? Adults really need impulse control as well. It's essential. And on to the next one, which is why I say being a present parent requires Jedi training. I just love, I love this image of how challenging it is and what a warrior you are to be a parent in this moment in time. I have so much newfound respect for parents as this idea has been growing for me of, wow, if you're a parent in this time and you believe that you incarnated with some level of choice, you chose to be a parent, you know, it wasn't just something that happened to you. My experience is that we choose the lives that we have. If that's what you believe, you are a warrior. You're someone who's coming in and saying, I want a really big challenge. And you've got it. And this concept of getting present requires that training. A lot of parents have said to me, wow, I did so much personal growth before I had a child, and I thought, oh, it'll be so easy to have a child because I've looked at so many of my issues from my past and I've healed so many wounds, and then they become a parent and so much comes undone. And it can be overwhelming. And my response to that is because you've chosen this because you are a really phenomenal being who's ready for some really big growth experiences. And like I say to small children, you can handle this. It's hard, it's challenging, it's pushing on your edges, but you can handle this. So that's where we are with that. So I want to chat. I want to check in about one of my core stories has been my job is to control my children. As a teacher, I've had that story. And conversely, I want my child to be free. There's the control come from, and then there's the passivity. I see parents on either end, and I've been on either end, and some of my current actions still can be categorized as either. That's one of our big painful stories, is that we have to control children. If we don't question our thoughts and we try to be conscious parents, our thoughts run us around and we don't know it. So questioning our thoughts is so important. Taking the time to look and see what are the stories that I have about what it means to be a parent. So much of it is unseen until you really take the time to sift through. I would not have considered myself someone who thought I had to control children. The impulse still is alive in me. And then also, to the contrary, swinging to the other end of the pendulum, this desire to let children be themselves, but not wanting to, it's also to the extent of not putting my needs and desires or in the desires of other people into the equation, allowing the child to rule and say what's going to happen in the family scene. Both of those are not examples of being fully present. What BJ and I suggest instead is connection. How do we come from connection? Connection is what creates presence, and presence is what creates the CLCs that we need. And that's TLCs for the brain and for the spirit, as Rachel says. So there's connection. I love connection. So back to the brain. We're looking at the brain and we're thinking about how we get these CLCs. So now that we understand a little bit and we've made a little bit of groundwork of, yes, we need to look at our thoughts and our judgments to be able to inform us of how to relate to the people around us and relate to ourselves. How do we get present? How do we make these connections that we need? How do we show up with a child in Brainstem? What does this child need? So here's our girl again, down on the ground. I don't know that it's a girl, actually. And what any person in Brainstem needs is the presence of a calm human more than anything. The child needs to get back in the body. The child is in a lot of fear, even if the child has initiated this whole situation, right? But now the child's in Brainstem. The child is either fighting or flighting. So what we need to do first is get real calm. And our tendency is to take on whatever energy our child is in, and that's really difficult. It's difficult to get present and grounded when our child is having a hard time. So what I'd like to do is take deep, exaggerated breaths. And the reason why I exaggerate them is that so the person next to me can join in. It sort of creates this rhythm, and it's easier for them to sink into it. I also might mimic their body really kindly. I'm not making fun of them. I'm like, oh, sweetheart, yeah, I see your hands are tight like this, and your eyebrows are up like this, and your shoulders, they look so tight and squinched. And then they just start noticing their body. It helps them get grounded back in their body. It also can help if they seem open to physical contact, to firmly press on their larger muscles. That also helps them get in their body. The bigger goal is to help them get grounded in their body, get back into it, and feel calm, and know that they're safe. That's what we're trying to go for, is emotional safety. The thing that you want to do during this time is talk, advise, and teach. Or this is something that you might want to do, and there's a line through it, because we're just trying to say, hey, stop yourself from doing that. It's so vital in order to build trust, to give someone the space they need when they're not feeling safe, and to really honor that they're in a non-verbal space. And maybe the child is screaming at you at this point, or your partner is screaming at you, and you just want to tell them that they're wrong, and that oh, it's a misunderstanding, sweetheart, or don't talk to me that way. I mean, you could be on the defense, or feeling like you want to support. It's not a good time for that. Not until you see them coming out of that. This is the time for empathy and compassion, and empathy above all. I feel like I could teach 8 months straight about empathy. I'm so wild and crazy about empathy. Like, empathy is the balm that we need as a species right now. And I want it to look just like this with all these cute little blocks. A quick and easy remedy for empathy. People, when they're first learning empathy, it can be hard. How do we empathize? Something I teach children and adults, because it's so simple, is you were really hoping for some ice cream right now, sweetheart. Yeah, you're so disappointing. You really wanted ice cream right now. Yeah, you were really hoping I would take the garbage out, and you look so disappointed that I did not take the garbage out. You're not trying to advise or tell them anything about the situation. You're not trying to move into problem solving. You're just trying to empathize. And the tricky thing about empathizing is that you never know how long it will take. It could be 30 seconds. It could be 20 minutes. And sometimes our stories start running of, wow, I mean, he just spilled his milk on the floor. This child does not need to be screaming and empathized with for 20 minutes over a cup of milk. But we never know what is alive for someone else that is allowing this experience to be so big and important.
Right. I want to jump in for a second and share that this you were really hoping for tool is one tool that we specifically chose to share in this intro. Yeah, so we didn't want the intro to really focus on a lot of tools, but we wanted to put a few in there just to give you a taste of sort of what we're leading up to. So this is more the intro, but this is definitely one tangible tool that you can take home and begin to implement in your family, with your children, with your partner, with your friends, reflecting what you hear from that person that they were hoping for, that they're sharing, that they have some frustration or upset about.
Yay! Yeah, I feel like if there's nothing else you go home with, learning how to empathize is like, if you get yourself stuck in a corner, You know, someone's coming at you, empathize. If you don't ever know what to do and you're just stuck, empathize. Empathy never hurts. It's like the opposite of making someone defensive. It softens. And I also want to say one thing with empathy is that you need to notice who you're empathizing with and seeing if they like it or not. The way that you're coming across might not be just right. That's been something I've been learning over time. Yeah, there's a subtlety to empathy. And that's a big thing we focus on in our classes, is teaching it and talking about it and really getting into the depths of it. And the number one mistake people make with empathy is they start coaching before the child is ready. We want to look at the child and see, do they feel safe and heard? And I look at this image of this boy. He does not look safe. And the gesture of the father is very much, I mean, it's hard to tell exactly, but I'm guessing in this moment that he's, because of the way his hand is, that he's still in lecture mode, and the child looks drifted off somewhere else. We want to go for that connection picture we saw earlier of that mom looking her child right in the eyes, and the child looks at ease. So that's how you know when your empathy work is done, when the child looks relaxed and it feels like the tension has melted. Then, at that point, that child's open. A safe child is a ready child. A safe and relaxed child, I would say.
One tip that I've heard about empathy and how to know when you sort of melted the empathy barrier is when you start to notice curiosity spark for that person. So they're really in their experience and you're empathizing with them, and the experience starts to melt away. And when that experience has melted away, you'll notice in them, oh, they've begun to get curious about other things, you know, or present for other things. So yeah, that's how you can, one way you can have a guide post.
Brilliant. So that takes us to positive intent. Ooh, this is juicy stuff. Love positive intent. Positive intent is brilliant. This image really calls for me how we tell children who and what they are by what we say to them, how we look at them, how we relate to them in our lives. You know, when our children are small, all the way up through their teenage years, we are God to them. We are their mirror to let them know who and what they are. I mean, the same child could have the experience of being, you know, a prince or someone who's worthless. I mean, it's just so much in how we relate and look. And okay, I got that. And the thing, I don't know how to switch that. Okay, sorry guys, a little technical difficulty. The thing that, I'm not sure how to do that. Oh, I know how to do that. Wait, I'm having a moment. Okay, I'm trying to, there I am. Okay, good. The thing, thank you, BJ, for that feedback. The thing about positive intent that's really exciting is that we tell children who they are. We tell our partners, our neighbors, anyone that we come across, we tell them who they are by how we relate with them. So the power of positive intent with a child is, I'm just trying to think of how to sum this up in a brief way. I'm going to give an example. So my child hits me, and I might look at him and say, oh, sweetheart, oops, you forgot to be gentle. This is not, he's not in Brainstem right now. He's wanting my attention. I could tell maybe he's like, you know, forgot how to, in that moment, how to reach out and ask for it. So I'm going to say, oops, you forgot how to be gentle. Or in another instance, I might say, oops, it looks like you forgot to ask if you could touch me in that way. I'm never going to tell him that he's rough or violent or mean. I'm always going to tell him what I want him to be. But I'm going to help him learn and develop the tools to be that thing. I'm not just going to pretend and ignore. I'm going to say, sweetheart, oops, it looks like you forgot to ask, or it looks like you forgot to be gentle. Saying that you forgot is saying you know how to be gentle. You are gentle. That's your being. That's your essence. And sometimes you forget. We all forget. We all sometimes forget to be kind to someone in our lives. So we're holding and extending that same container of non-judgment and space for our children to be the amazing beings that they are. And I want to move to the next slide. Okay, guys, I'm going to do some Jedi magic here with my slides over here. Okay. I'm going to move to this next slide. Oops, you forgot to ask, you forgot to be, or you forgot to practice. One of the things I love to say to children and identify is what we're practicing. Even with teenagers, oh, we're practicing cooperation. Oh, sweetheart, I see you practicing cooperation. I will notice all the ways and all the moments that they're practicing it. I will give them positive attention for the things that I do want. And again, let's try that again. Practice makes progress instead of practice makes perfect. Let's try that again is the moment to practice. So with this incident with a child, oh, BJ, we could just do this live. Could we do this live, you think? Let me see. Let's try that. You want to try this live?
Yeah, we might be able to. Sure.
This is going to be exciting. Okay, so we're going to play out that scenario again where BJ... let's do the ice cream one, BJ. We love the ice cream one, right?
Okay. Yeah. So I'll be a child, and Karen will be my mom. Mom, I want ice cream.
Oh, sweetheart, you want ice cream? That's so exciting.
Yeah. Let's go. I want ice cream right now. I'm hungry for ice cream.
Awesome. I'm so glad that you know what you want. This is not the time right now for ice cream.
No, no. No, you always say no.
Yeah. Yeah, sweetheart, you look real disappointed. You're really hoping for ice cream. I saw you put your hands over your eyes like this. Yeah, and your eyes look closed, and now you're looking away from me. And you look real sad.
It's not fair. I never get ice cream.
Yeah, you're really hoping for ice cream. You love ice cream. Ice cream is one of your favorite foods. And you got your little lips pursed out. Yeah, and you just blinked. And it looks like you just took a breath. Yeah, you're really wanting ice cream right now. It sounds real important to you.
Yeah. Jessie gets ice cream every day.
Yeah. Yeah, you would love ice cream every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, ice cream's so fun. What's your favorite kind of ice cream?
Salted caramel.
Salted caramel. Oh, I love salted caramel. And would you get it on a cone or in a cup?
Cone.
Yeah, you would get it in a cone. And would you put maybe sprinkles, whipped cream, caramel sauce? What would you put on it?
Sprinkle cone.
Sprinkle cone.
Yeah.
Yes, you love the sprinkle cone.
But we're not going to get it, so...
Yeah, you're really hoping for it right now.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's disappointing because you just wanted it right now. You love ice cream. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to say to the audience, I just feel like there's so many things we do that are so unorthodox in this skit that I love, and I want to explain more, but she wasn't, in this scenario, I'm just guessing that she wasn't in full brainstem. She wasn't in the place where I couldn't start empathizing. She seemed like she was open to empathy at that point. Remember I was talking earlier about don't start talking when they're on the ground screaming and crying. She was clearly in her body, like there's different gradients between brainstem and prefrontal cortex. She was somewhere in the limbic system, so I felt like I could start empathizing with her. And then another thing I do is start talking about what it is that they're excited about. It doesn't mean I'm going to give it to them. And some people might consider that teasing, but I think it's great to be excited about the things that you're excited about. And then now we're going to pick up back in the conversation, and I'm going to say to BJ, sweetheart, you can have ice cream tomorrow. Would you be excited to have ice cream tomorrow?
Not today.
Yeah, not today. You already had your sweet treat this morning. It was so wonderful. Remember that brownie you had?
Oh.
Yeah, you love that brownie. That brownie was delicious. Tomorrow I could pick you up after school and we can get some ice cream.
You sure?
Yeah, that'd be great. And let's think about how you can respond differently next time you really want something and you get disappointed.
Okay, like what?
Let's rewind and try it again.
Okay.
You can do it. You do it all the time. You really know how to practice asking for what you want in a clear, calm way. So you want to rewind a little bit?
Okay. I want ice cream.
Yeah. And I'm going to say, we're going to practice, no, sweetheart, it's not time for ice cream right now.
Okay, what do I say now?
Well, you did it. First, you took a deep breath, and that's really, really helpful, sweetheart. I saw you take a deep breath, and that's so important. You calmed yourself right down. You didn't start throwing your hands in the air. You kept your energy grounded. And then you say, it's real important to me, Mom. I really want ice cream.
Oh, yeah, it's important to me. I forgot that one.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
It's important to me. Oh, well, it's important to me. Can I have it today?
Yeah, you're remembering it's important to you, and you love ice cream. And do you remember when I said we could have it?
Oh, yeah, tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow after school, and it's going to be so much fun. We are going to love it.
Right.
I'm just going to start thinking about what kind of ice cream I want to have, because I've been thinking about a new flavor, and I'm not sure if I'm ready for it. So, yeah, I really like playing with kids. I think this is very good. If anyone has any questions about that skit, please text in, chat in. I'm curious I'm curious. I want to talk with people, but I can't hear them. So I just want to highlight again the pieces. First, I'm empathizing because she looks ready for it. And then the next piece is that I'm talking about when we can do the thing that she wants to do. So meet the need is one of the strategies. Meet the need that's alive for them. But it doesn't have to be right then. And the next step is practicing. So I'm giving her the tools to ask for what she wants in a calm, clear way. And normally people practice in first response. Or they don't practice, they respond and tell the child what they would like the child to do when they're not ready to hear it. So I'm waiting until she's calm and happy. Now she's thinking about ice cream and how much she loves it, and she's relaxed. And at that point, I'm introducing the concept of, okay, let's practice how you can respond differently.
Yeah. So just to reflect back over what we've covered so far. So at the beginning, I was more in Brainstem, maybe not quite in Brainstem. Because we're on the webinar, I didn't throw myself on the floor and scream a lot, but I might have done that otherwise. But so I was sort of maybe in between, maybe in a middle brain state. So that was not the moment to be coaching. And so first what Karen did was connect with what my experience was. What was I wanting? Help me get into my body. She reflected some of the things she saw. She was really emphasizing connecting with what was going on for me emotionally and in my body. And then once I was more available, once I was making eye contact, once I was smiling a little bit, then I was ready to hear the feedback of what I could do differently next time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's also the training is free of blame, shame, or guilt. I'm trying to encourage and not discourage. And discourage is usually how we teach people. And, or it's how we used to teach people, let's say it differently. Rachel also said, too, it doesn't have to be ice cream. Absolutely. We can translate this scenario to anything where there's disappointment or, when you notice a child or adult is in the lower centers of the brain. One of the things we're going to try to practice is making a skit, little video about dealing with your partner when they're in Brainstem, how to deal with an adult. The language changes a little bit, but the concepts are the same. You don't want to talk to anyone who's in Brainstem and start advising them. That's a basic concept that's very helpful. So the next piece is this. Okay, sorry, I'm doing this again. Oh, I love this slide. I have to show this one. What you focus on expands. Isn't that cool? So a big part of this positive intent that's already in there but not fully said is what you focus on expands. This is made very clear to me when I think it was a conscious discipline trainer was talking about this concept of children 80% of the time might do what we ask them to do. 20% of the time they may ignore us, walk away, throw something at us instead. And what we zero in and focus on is the 20% of non-cooperation, right? For example, let's say if this one child is 80% of the time cooperative, 20% of the time non-cooperative. Isn't that interesting that what we focus in on is that 20%? Of course we do, because we want them to learn, we want to teach them, we want them to grow. But we don't grow from obligation and guilt and shaming. We grow by being encouraged. And that's what creates the brain connections that we need to be very successful in life. So this is one thing we refer to as pivoting and shifting. And then that's why I was excited to name my business Shift with Karen, is this concept of shifting your focus to what you do want in life in general on a whole, but also who do you see yourself as? Who do you want to be? Who do you see and believe your child is? And this is so amazing to me. There can be a child down on the ground freaking out. And, and I just know that response. You're looking at the child going, wow, you really can't handle this. Like this situation is too much for you. I can look at that child, hear that thought in my brain, and go, this is nonsense. I know this child can handle this. I know this is a challenge that this child wants because this child is infinitely powerful. And I know that this child can develop the tools and even practice in this moment, once they get calm, the skills to do this differently. So even when a child has hit me, I'm like, oops, you forgot to be gentle. I'm always telling them what I want them to be, and I'm always giving them opportunities to practice. And I have infinite space and patience for their growing and learning. My sense is that most of us have 2 inches for our own self and our ability to grow and try new things and make mistakes, and to even call them mistakes, right? We can question that thought. Is it a mistake when we try something new and we don't get it the first time? Is it a mistake when we tried it 1,000 times but we still haven't figured it out? We're making progress through our experiences, through our experiments. So we're trying to widen our patience for ourselves, deepen our love and belief in ourselves, and also see into the things that are unseen, believe in the things we cannot see. BJ, I feel you have something to say right now. No? She does not. Look at her. She's so cute. Okay, great. So what you focus on expands. And we are just about at the end of our time. Oh, look at that. It flipped around. Okay. And okay, I'm just trying to move this thing around. Yeah, so there's so much that we cover in our parenting classes and in our coaching. First, we start with the mind, then into the heart, then into the skills that we need to develop to be able to be present. And we gave an example of those skills with the concept of empathy and positive intent. Those are 2 tools that are in our toolbox. But the books that we recommend, if you want to start this reading process on your own at home, the work of Byron Katie, we highly recommend. Lots of YouTube videos and books and audiobooks that you can buy and listen to. Also, Conscious Discipline is something I highly recommend. This concept of this brain research that's what that whole parenting model is based around. And I think there's a lot of wealth in their information. And also nonviolent communication for learning empathy, how to make clear requests, and how to release judgment and guilt and blame and shame from your life and your dynamics with other people. But most importantly, all of this work starts here with ourselves. So that's why this digging in, the process for us always starts with the mind and questioning our thoughts and beliefs. I offer parenting coaching, and BJ and I will be teaching an e-class soon, which we're super excited about. And BJ also does privates with the work, and it's really
with Byron Katie.
Yeah, super powerful to do sessions with BJ. She's a profound presence and facilitator of the work. And we will be emailing folks to share our next e-class. What else do you have to say, BJ?
I think that a lot of what we have to offer is a paradigm shift. Maybe not so much for some of you who are here, but if you're finding it to be really outside of your understanding, just I encourage you to, if you're interested, to just be patient. Because a lot of, we've been working on this stuff for ourselves for a long time. So, if the concept of questioning your thoughts or looking for the positive intent with a child who's, melting down on the floor. If some of those seem a little foreign or challenging, I encourage you to have patience with yourself and to remember that how we teach ourselves is how we are going to teach our children. So in learning something new, which this content may be something new for you, notice how you allow yourself to learn it, and as much as possible, treat yourself as the pure, innocent child that you are, because when we can teach ourselves that way, we'll naturally teach our children that way. Yeah, that's all.
Oh, we love it. One thing I want to say, too, I was just looking through the text finally and looking at what Alyssa said about loving positive intent. It makes me think a lot, the way that BJ and I, for a while, were framing mindful parenting was moving from control to connection. And then I realized, wow, like, not everyone has the control come from. Some people have the passivity, overly passive with their child come from. And we see a lot of that in Nashville, or I see a lot of that in Nashville. People really, like, I just want to explain a little historical context. It is a new time in human history that we've decided to stop using corporal punishment. For most of the time of human history, that's how we've controlled children and controlled all humans, is the threat of punishment. So we pull that away, and we want our children to be free, and we want them to have a freedom that we didn't experience. We want them to love themselves. We want them to have confidence. And the way that I experienced that earlier on was like, I just wanted kids to do whatever they wanted to do. But then I realized they weren't considering me, and I wasn't teaching them, like, oh, wait, they're not coming out learning how to consider other people. That's a skill they develop through practice and through modeling.
Right.
So that's the part that fascinates me around this connection to positive intent, because you could have positive intent and then continue to be passive. But it's real important that the positive intent is followed up by training and clear boundaries for yourself. Part of me explaining this is like, oh, I'm getting an understanding that not everyone has the controlling come from, and is really also a lot of people come from struggling to assert themselves in the equation. And that makes sense, because when your baby's small, you don't hold them accountable for anything. And it's hard to know when's that moment when they're like 1.5 to 2.5, where they start becoming at a place where they can be more accountable for their actions, and we can set more clear boundaries with them. So it's loving assertiveness with clear boundaries, and learning how to consider other people and what they need as well.
Yeah, and I just want to share a perspective about shifting from passivity. So again, about the brain, our brains come in clear, right? And then we're looking for a framework. We're looking to try to understand the world, what is going on here. So we're either going to be delivering a culture, a paradigm, a worldview of how things make sense, an order of the world to our children, or if we leave them to be free, they're going to get that from somewhere else. So leaving them to be free leaves them to other guides who may not be presenting what's most true in your heart. So yeah, we can do that in a clear way that still allows for freedom, that the boundaries can move and shift with our child, but we can say, these are the clear boundaries. And we want that. Children want that. Children want to feel safe and to understand, what are my limits here? What's going on here? It's like an embrace, a hug, it feels supportive to children. A lot of times when a child is, having a hard time melting down, what they need is boundaries. What they need is like, this is what's going to happen now. This is where we are. This is what's, So the shifting from passivity is very helpful.
And you know what it reminds me of, BJ, is that family constellation model of bigger and smaller. And in the practice of family constellations, they talk a lot about someone in the family system has to be bigger in the parent-child dynamic. And when the parent acts small and doesn't assert themselves and their needs and everyone else's needs, the child has to get big, So
right. That's why you'll see a child start to be bossy in that dynamic, because they want to have some control, some structure. And if you're not creating it, they're going to try to create it.
And it's so funny because you think, oh, that's the child being, some people experience that the child's really empowered. I experience it as the child, it's really stressful for them.
They're suffering.
When I come in and like create some boundaries, they relax. They're like, oh, I don't have to think about what all my choices are for dinner tonight. I just see this and this in front of me. It's so easy. You know, sometimes people, like, I catch myself being like, Asher, what do you want to do today? And he's like, I don't know. He doesn't have any big plans. He's not thinking about it. And I realize, oh, my container is so big, it confuses him.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, well, I don't know what he wants to do. And I'm fishing for what do I want to do? What's important to me? And what guesses can I make? What few choices can I give him? I mean, that's another one of the tools, is figuring out choices and how to give them in a way that moves from connection. And that's fun.
Oh, you can tell we just love to talk about this. We were wrapping up, and then we're like, oh, let's just talk some more about how exciting it all is.
Great. Does anyone else have any other questions? I didn't see any questions pop up in the chat, but if anyone has any questions, please ask. And I'm sure we'll be doing this again in some form or another.
And hopefully without the buffering issue. I'm not sure what that was, but
yeah, and maybe we'll just do videos. Who knows? It's hard to know what will make sense. Well, thank you everyone for coming, and look forward to connecting more.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna press stop broadcast.
Okay, bye.
Adios.